Hey there. You know how sometimes in French you can say things that are technically correct, but they don't sound right? Like you're just listing off facts instead of telling an actual story? Well, today we are going to fix that. We're going to learn the secret to weaving sentences together to talk about your memories and experiences and sound way more natural doing it. Okay, just take a look at this. On the left, you have, I was young, I lived in India. I mean, sure, it works, but it's kind of clunky, right? It sounds like a robot. Now look at the right. We add one tiny word, and suddenly it's, when I was young, I lived in India. Boom. Instantly, it's a story. It has flow, it feels like a real memory. And that little shift, that is everything. So, what's the secret sauce here? How do you make that jump from a boring list to an actual story? Well, it's actually way simpler than you might think. You don't need to learn hundreds of new words. It's all about knowing how to use the two main past tenses as your personal storytelling tools. All right, our first tool. This is the one we use to paint the picture, to create the atmosphere, give the context, basically set the background for whatever we're about to say. In French, this storyteller's paintbrush is the imparfait. The number one thing to remember about the imparfait is this little phrase, what things were like. That's its whole job. Think of it like the opening shot of a movie. It's describing the setting, what you used to do every day, how you were feeling, what the weather was like. It's the ongoing state of things before the main action kicks in. But a good story needs more than just a pretty background, right? You need action. You need something to actually happen, an event that moves things forward. And for that, we bring in our second, much more action-packed tool, the Passé composé. And this is where it all clicks. If the imparfait tells us what was happening, the passé composé tells us what happened. It's like a camera flash, a specific single event that's over and done with. The phone rang. I saw a friend. We visited the museum. Bam, bam, bam. These are the key moments, the plot points that drive our story forward. Okay, so we've got our background painter, the imparfait, and our action hero, the passé composé. But how do we stick them together? Well, we need some storytelling glue. These are just a few keywords that signal to your listener, hey, pay attention, we're switching from describing the scene to telling you what happened. And these words are super helpful little clues. For example, when you hear tous les jours, every day, your brain should immediately think, okay, this is a routine, this is probably imperfect territory. But then if you hear a word like soudain, suddenly, or un jour, one day, that's like a big flashing neon sign telling you, action incoming, get ready for the passé composé. All right, enough with the rules. The best way to really get this is to see it in the wild. So let's break down a super simple mini story and watch exactly how these two tenses play together to make something that actually sounds like a story. So our story kicks off, j'étais, j'habitais. See that? Both are in the imparfait. And why? Because it's not a single event. This is all background info. We're setting the scene, telling our listener, here's what life was like for me over a long period of time. And then, bam, the story shifts. We get our signal word, un jour, one day. That immediately breaks us out of that background routine. So what happened on that one specific day? J'ai vu, I saw. It's a specific, completed action. It happened, it's over. That is our passé composé, stepping onto the stage for the first main event. Now check this out. This part is cool. We can actually hit pause on the main action to add more descriptive detail. The weather was nice, and there were many people. Il faisait, il y avait. We've switched right back to the imparfait here, just to paint a richer picture of the scene where that main event was taking place. And to wrap up the action, here we go. I spoke to him, and he was very kind. Two more finished actions that bring the story to its close. Je lui ai parlé, il a été. Both are in the passé composé. And just like that, we have a complete little narrative with a setting, a middle, and an end. So, how can you do this yourself? It's honestly this simple. Just follow this two-step recipe. Step 1. Set your scene with the imparfait. Tell us about a habit you had or a general situation from the past. Step 2. Interrupt that scene with one specific action using the passé composé. That is it. You now have the core structure for basically any story you'll ever need to tell about the past. You've totally got this. You now have the essential framework for telling stories in French. You know how to create a background, and you know how to introduce a key event. You can officially go way beyond just listing simple facts. So the only question left is, what's your two-sentence story? Give it a shot.